Tom Joyner on the left, Lando Norris on the right. And we're racing, and Tom Joyner getting away a lot quicker than Lando Norris, who's trying to slot in 4th place. Oh, a little bit of contact with some of our front runners. Tom Joyner gets some. Oh, that's really heavy driving by, well, I do know who it is, and I don't want to say his name on television, but Tom Joyner survived that challenge, shall we call it a challenge, but now he's in 3rd place. Lando Norris in 2nd place. Johan Daravula getting himself right to the fore. Pretty heavy going by Karel Bash as well, but Johan Daravula, the Indian driver in kart number 15, getting himself to the front, in front of Lando Norris. And Tom Joyner tracking these 3. Well, Tom Joyner from pole position wouldn't have wanted to be in 3rd place at the end of the opening lap, but that's not a disaster by any means. Johan Daravula, Lando Norris and Tom Joyner are the 1, 2 and 3. You see them there. The 4th place driver is Nikita Mazepin, the Russian in the Tony kart. And oh, a good start by Van Leeuwen, kart number 9. Kart number 9 is Martin Van Leeuwen of Netherlands for Kaiser Racing. Well, Johan Daravula is not just leading, pulling away a fraction, isn't he, from Lando Norris. Johan Daravula driving for Ricky Flynn Motorsport. I just mentioned earlier on that so is Lando Norris. So Ricky Flynn Motorsport at this moment in time has just produced the World Junior Champion and has the drivers in 1st and 2nd place. There was Ricky Flynn. Briefly. We're at the start of lap 3. Let's have a look at this start because it was a little bit untidy at turn 1. Tom Joyner in the lead in kart 4. Ooh. Really uncomfortable. And Tom Joyner, is that losing a place? Yes, it is. Tom Joyner, who gets another little bit of contact but drops down into 4th place. Going through into 3rd is Nikita Mazepin. I wasn't sitting in judgment on Nikita Mazepin. I don't think the contact came from him. It came from elsewhere. And Tom Joyner trying to fight back. But now he's finding that Martin Van Leeuwen has also gone past him. So the reigning world champion, starting on pole position, is in 5th place late on lap 3. Race leader Johan Daravula has a full 1 second lead over Lando Norris. Nikita Mazepin 3rd, Martin Van Leeuwen 4th, Tom Joyner 5th, Callum Eilert 6th. Callum Eilert started in 32nd place and at the end of 3rd lap is in 6th place. A stunning drive. Pedro Hiltbrand 7, Gabriel Aubrey 8, Karel Bash drops to 9th, having started on the 2nd row. And Sakakorn Chaimongol, who looked to be out of the reckoning in the last chance race, got a 2nd chance and then a second chance and is in the top 10. Well, I just pause in my commentary looking for Tom Joyner, the defending champion. I don't see Tom Joyner. And has the defending champion got a major problem? Tom Joyner's down in 10th place. Tom Joyner drops to 10th place. Johan Daravula from India, a former Asia Pacific champion, leading Lando Norris, his Ricky Flynn Motorsport teammate, by 1 full second. Nikita Mazepin in 3rd place. Martin Van Leeuwen 4th. Callum Eilert goes up another place to 5th. Pedro Hiltbrand a place up to 6th. Karel Bash 7th. Oliver Hodgson emerges in the top 10 at 8th place. The Danish driver Kevin Russell 9th. And the defending champion Tom Joyner still in the top 10 but only in 10th place. However, this is lap 5 and the race distance is 25 laps. But Johan Daravula had a lead of a full second. It's now down to 0.88 of a second as Lando Norris just begins to get a little bit quicker. Lando Norris just done a 49.45, Johan Daravula a 49.60. And those threatening clouds you saw from our television coverage, there is Lando Norris, very small of stature. I don't keep saying that because it's almost as if it's well, disrespectful, but I just make the point that this is almost like seeing a very young lad having to mix it with young men, much bigger. But there we are, that's the way it is. Johan Daravula's lead, 0.886 of a second, and it looks in the sector time. Oh, Lando Norris is quickest of everybody in sector 1, quickest in everybody in sector 2, and I'm here to tell you that that lead will have come down. It has. It's come down from 0.88 of a second to 0.53 of a second. Well, Johan Daravula, as Lando Norris sets the fastest lap at 49.22, which is not at all surprising, as I did call that to you as the fastest time in Sector 1, the fastest time in Sector 2, not quite the fastest time in Sector 3, but the totality is that that was the fastest lap of the race by Lando Norris, and now he's within half a second. And Johan Daravula glances over his left shoulder, and instead of seeing somebody a full second away, he sees somebody a bit less than half a second away. Nikita Mazepin, the Russian, going particularly well in third place. Martin van Leeuwen of Netherlands in fourth. Come through strongly. Callum Eilert in fifth place, kart number 1. Oh, and both of our front two there, Johan Daravula and Lando Norris, getting a little bit of a jolt as they moved a couple of wheels off the tarmac briefly. Well, if you voluntarily widen the track by going onto the rumble strips, you will have a little bit of rumbling, if you will. Matteo Vigano sets the fastest lap. He's kart number 37 in 18th place at the moment. Well, that was a long look by Johan Daravula, wasn't it? The gap had dropped down to 0.33 of a second, but I did believe that it widened a little bit, and hey, what would I know about it? But I'm just thinking, Johan Daravula, not a lot to be gained by looking behind you all the time. Don't know who Ricky Flynn is giving these notes to, because this is almost like a Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg situation. They're from the same team, battling for the same world title. Johan Daravula from India, Lando Norris from Great Britain, both in the Ricky Flynn Motorsport awning. Tom Joyner climbs back from 10th to 9th, but it's going to take a supreme effort by the defending champion to get back on top from here. Well, we're watching mainly the first two, but why not? Because as things stand at the moment, you would guess at this early stage that they're the potential protagonists for this World Championship. Johan Daravula, the bigger of the two lads in the lead. If I say that Lando Norris is the smaller of the two, but Lando Norris is probably the smallest of the 34. But as I keep saying when I say this, and there's the move by Lando Norris early on lap 10, and Lando Norris glances over to Johan Daravula. I've not caused you a problem, I'm not going to cause you a problem, but I will take the lead off you. Nikita Mazepin, let's have a look at that again. Didn't altogether look on there, did it? But I guess, well, you saw Johan a tad slow making the turn, and once he saw that Lando had dipped his nose cone in the gap, didn't try to do anything silly, and said, well, okay, I'm not going to chop across your bows and put both of us out. And now Johan Daravula, when he glances behind him, sees Nikita Mazepin. Nikita Mazepin in third place, Martin van Leeuwen fourth, Callum Eilert fifth, Pedro Hiltbrand sixth, Carol Bash seventh, Kevin Rossell eighth, Tom Joyner ninth, and Felice Tieni into the top 10 for the first time. We're on lap 11 of a 25-lap race, therefore we're not yet at half race distance. Things can happen. 3/5 of a second in favour of Lando Norris over Johan Daravula. Lando Norris driving the FA Kart Vortex. Lando Norris, the younger brother of Oliver Norris. Oliver Norris racing in this championship. Oliver Norris hasn't had quite the results that Lando has had. Didn't have the best of fortune, but it would have to be said that this year Lando Norris has had far, far greater results than his big brother Oliver. Big in terms of older, when I say Oliver. Kart number 11 just going through was Carol Bash, who started on the inside of row 2. But at the moment, struggling to make anything higher than 7th place. Kart number 3 in shot there is your race leader, Lando Norris. 2nd place, Johan Daravula. And, well, what do you think from our television pictures? Is Nikita Mazepin in 3rd place getting a little bit closer? I do believe he is. Nikita Mazepin driving for the Tony Kart Racing team. I think the first Russian to do so, I think. Do stand to be corrected if that's not right. Well, Nikita Mazepin. And if you can interpret the sign language, folks, you're watching live on television and you can see just what the Ricky Flynn Motorsports signals are. You're not privy to what is said to Lewis Hamilton and to Nico Rosberg on the F1 tracks, but here at SA you can see those messages going in by sign language. Number 1, Callum Ilott taking closer order on Martin van Leeuwen. Callum Ilott now in 5th place there, all 5 of the front runners. There is Callum Ilott now in shot, and when I remind you that he started in 32nd place and has got himself up to 5th place, this is Lando Norris driving very easily. Nikita Mazepin unquestionably getting a little bit closer to Jehan Daravula. We're at the half race distance now because we're coming to the end of lap 13. So 13 gone, 12 to go. In 12 laps a lot can happen. But right now, at the half race distance, if you wanted to be the world champion this year, you'd rather be in the place of Lando Norris than any of the other 33 drivers. Still we have a threatening sky, but still we have completely dry tarmac, and with times in the low 49s, this is pretty much the ideal driving conditions on the circuit now after the challenges of the weather. A very quick glance by over his left shoulder by Lando Norris. Jehan Daravula. I'm not going to start suggesting he's driving shotgun for him because that would be an unkind reference to make, and I do believe that Jehan Daravula will be at full stretch to keep Nikita Mazepin behind him if Nikita Mazepin is able to make a challenge. But the challenge that looked as if it was inevitably coming, not quite so now. See Callum Ilott inclining his body to the left there through those, several of the drivers we see do use a lot of upper torso inclination. Behind Callum Ilott, a good scrap between Pedro Hiltbrand 6th and Karel Bash in 7th, but this is Lando Norris. His lead over Jehan Daravula is pretty much 0.8 of a second, and Mazepin is not as close to Daravula as he has been. So maybe that situation has been stabilised a little. The luckless Nicholas Nielsen in 16th place. Why do I say luckless? Well, he won the qualifying competition. He won all of his heats Friday and Saturday, and in the pre-final this morning he took a heavy clatter at turn 1 on the opening lap and was virtually, his world championship virtually over. Well, I mustn't say that, must I? Because Callum Ilott has come up from 32nd to 5th, and we saw Mauricio Baez of Venezuela go from, I think it was 28th place to 3rd, so can be done. This is lap 16 of 25, so still plenty of racing left, but if you're anywhere below the top 4 now, you need to make some serious moves if you have true aspirations of being the world champion, and even a podium place needs to be a little bit more, well, shall we say the wick turned up a little bit, however you want to interpret that. Nikita Mazepin in shot there is in 3rd place. There in kart number 15 in 2nd place is Jehan Daravula. Inside, in front of him, but not in shot momentarily, there he is, Lando Norris. Kart number 9, you saw Martin van Leeuwen, and you saw behind him Callum Ilott making a concerted attempt to get past the Dutchman, but it's not been easy for Callum Ilott to catch him, let alone get past him. Callum Ilott carrying number 1, because number 1 is the position, all of these positions determined by the finishing positions in the CIK FIA European Championship, and Callum Ilott is the European champion. Lando Norris disappointed in that one. He did say to me, yeah, 3rd place in a European Championship, that's fine, but I was fast enough and good enough to win it, and I didn't let it happen, so he was disappointed with 3rd place. Well, if he carries plate number 3 to a championship victory in the World Championship, I guess that would be a satisfactory alternative to being the European champion. We're on lap 18 of 25. We're moving towards the final quarter of the CIK FIA 2014 World Championship. We're here at SA, a smallish track by international racing standards, just 1,220 metres in length, 8 metres wide, and when you think that we go to 1,800 metres at Zuera, Spain for some of our international racing, half as big a game as this one. But a good challenge for the drivers, this is what they tell me. Here are the first three in shot. There is kart number 24, Nikita Mazepin, in the Tony Kart, the official Tony Kart driver. He's in third place. Glances over his shoulder, but he doesn't see Martijn van Leeuwen. He's a little bit further behind, having his own dice with Callum Ilott. Callum Ilott not been able to make an attempted pass so far as I can see. Callum Ilott has a glance, which can often be, a glance behind can often be a prelude to an attempted passing move. And there isn't anybody too close because Callum Ilott is well clear of Carol Bash in 6th place. But before you can make an attempt to pass Martijn van Leeuwen, you've got to catch him. Martijn van Leeuwen and Callum Ilott is the scrap that we're watching for 4th and 5th. Number 9, Martijn van Leeuwen drives a Zanardi Perilla for Kaiser Racing. Callum Ilott, kart number 1, drives a Zanardi Perilla for the Zanardi Straka Racing team. Well, I can't pretend to you that it's too close at the front, but it is closer than it was when Benjamin Lassen left Enem Ahmed to just drive to victory in the junior class. The margin, as you can see on our graphic, 1.15 of a second. Tom Joyner, who climbed from 10th place up to 9th, has now dropped back to 10th. Nicholas Nielsen, who really has had the mother and father of a horrible misfortune, is probably not going to be the world champion. He's 14th at the moment, and we're on lap 20 of 25. Jessica Bachmann, who had a second chance heat when she didn't qualify but came in on somebody else's disqualification, and then the same thing happened in the pre-final, would you believe? So Jessica Bachmann running in 24th place, making the most, even if it's only a modest most, of her good fortune in a double whammy this morning, or this morning and this early afternoon. Callum Ilott and Martijn van Leeuwen is the scrap we're watching. Martijn van Leeuwen in the front, the Dutchman in the dark racing suit. Callum Ilott in the lighter coloured racing suit. I said to Callum Ilott yesterday, with a name like Callum, do you have Scottish connections? And he said, no, we're all English, we're all English. And then I saw his mum a little bit later on, and I mentioned that conversation, and she said, yes, we're all English. But his grandfather did play the bagpipes, and we do have a house on the Isle of Skye. So Callum Ilott is an Englishman with a little bit of affinity with Scotland. Getting closer to Martijn van Leeuwen, as you can see, and goes past him. Callum Ilott, as we're talking about the Scottish connection, if any, goes up from 5th place to 4th place, and Callum Ilott, the European champion, would have had his sights on a world championship, but gets himself into 4th place. Now his next target would have to be Nikita Mazepin for a championship podium place, but that's going to be a lot easier said than done because there's quite a few kart lengths between them. But Callum Ilott now, having had a real battle to get past Martijn van Leeuwen, is pulling away strongly, pulling away very easily from everybody else, and taking his RFM team instructions is our race leader Lando Norris. This is the start of lap 23. Everybody gone through lap 22 now. This is lap 23, 3 to go, including the one that they're on. Nikita Mazepin still has designs on being the vice champion, doesn't he? Jehan Daravula in 2nd place. Nikita Mazepin, well, he would have seen a little bit of a gap there, but not really interested in trying to make a dramatic move. You may well feel that if you're in 3rd place with a fairly certain podium championship place, what's the difference between 3rd and 2nd? The big difference, of course, would have been between 2nd and 1st. But hey, I'm just a journalist who talks about karting. These are racers, and if you race, you want to pass the guy in front of you, don't you? So we close lap 23 and set off on the penultimate lap in the 2014 CIK FIA World Championship in karting. All of our Formula One drivers have started in karting. There's not that many of them have been a world champion in karting. If I'm not mistaken, the last world champion in karting who went to Formula One was Vitantonio Liuzzi. But all of the non-world champions in karting have had a good, shall we say, baptism in motorsport. And there is the move that we anticipated, and a nice little piece of driving. Kart 15, Jehan Daravula holding off Nikita Mazepin, but Nikita Mazepin for the first time making a serious challenge on Jahan Daravula's second place. Who wants to be the vice champion? Well, they both do. Who wants it the most? It's a good little scrap we're watching here, isn't it? Jahan Daravula offering a little bit of a dummy to Nikita Mazepin. It's worth watching this. Oh, he's really blocking him, isn't he? I don't, and again the same applies. But I don't think this is necessary to help your teammate through to the World Championship, because it looks to me as if only a mega disaster. And there is the move by Nikita Mazepin, but here is the guy who's going to win the World Championship. Nikita Mazepin does get himself up into second place on the final lap, but with just one turn remaining, onto the home straight, and your world champion is Lando Norris. Lando Norris wins the world title.